Okay, let's talk about the foods that are damaging your brain. There's a lot of them, and there are probably some of them that you love. But I just want to bring to your attention some of these foods and talk about some alternatives, and just so you know, because I think what happens with brain health specifically is that we get to this place where we don't feel like our brain's working as well as we'd like it to, but we don't understand why. And unfortunately, we walk into our doctor's office and our doctors aren't trained in lifestyle, nor do many doctors right now have time to sit down and educate you on lifestyle. And so we don't make that correlation between what we're eating and how our brain is functioning. So what I really want to do with this video is help you think through your food choices and really understand if they are supporting good brain health or not. And then you make a smart decision for you. I think the first place to ask yourself is, what fuel sources does your brain require? Like, what does your brain need? And I really break it down into the 3 macronutrients, which is it needs protein because it needs to be able to have amino acids. Amino acids are really, really important for neurotransmitter production and hormone production. And remember, you got a lot of neurotransmitters in your brain like dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, GABA. These are neurotransmitters that make you feel really good. And for my menopausal women, I really want to point out, make sure that you understand this, that when estradiol and progesterone go away through the perimenopause and menopause process, they were precursors for dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, oxytocin, BDNF, which helps as a brain fertilizer for neuroplasticity. And so you are really at a neurochemical deficit. And if you're not eating enough protein as you're going through your menopausal experience, or even postmenopausal, you're not getting a complete array of amino acids, then what is ending up happening is that you might not have the precursor that you need to make all these hormones. So think about this. It could be as simple, if you're like 48 years old and you're depressed, are you having enough poultry so that you can get tryptophan, which is a precursor to make serotonin? Is that happening? Instead, if we're 48 years old and we're depressed, we think that maybe we didn't have our hormones dialed in, or we think that maybe we need to get on an antidepressant. We start to think it's something like that. But let's go back to the basics. Maybe you need more protein because it has this amino acid profile that is so supportive of the brain. Okay, second fuel source the brain requires is good fats. So good fats, not bad fats. Bad fats inflame your brain. Now I know for whatever reason, there is massive controversy over things like seed oils. Again, it's always how these oils are processed. So the more quicker that they are processed and made, like canola oil and cottonseed oil and corn oil and vegetable oil, soybean oil, partially hydrogenated oils, those oils tend to be made very, very quickly. They're broken down. There's not a lot of nutrients in it. When we eat them, they're inflammatory. And that means they can also inflame the brain. So what we want to do is we want to think about, how do we add more good oils in? So this is your avocados. These are your flaxseed. This is your MCT, your avocado oil. This is your olive oil. These are all great oils to help nourish the brain. The third is carbohydrates. Your brain needs carbohydrates. So this is where the keto diet really got off course for people, is that it was so focused on low carb. People were like, okay, out with the vegetables, out with anything. They were just eating meat and some fat, and they were losing weight and doing really well, but they forgot about their whole neurochemical system and how they needed to get more carbs so that they could be able to make some of these neurotransmitters. Okay? So with that in mind, that's the requirements of the brain. Those 3 things. Oh, the other thing the brain loves, ketones. So everything I just told you is supporting 50% of the fuel source for your brain, and the other 50% is ketones. So if you're not fasting, think about this for a moment. If you're not fasting, making ketones, you're not eating enough protein, you're not eating good oils, bad oils, and you're not eating enough of nature's carbs, you're going to be at a brain deficit. So let's change that. First is the refined sugars. There's no nutritional value in sugar. It tastes good, but what's happening is it's creating this dopamine spike. And the dopamine spike will, as long as dopamine is going up and down, dopamine is the molecule of more. It's not the molecule of enough. So every time you get a dopamine spike, then your brain goes, I want more of that. And then it just keeps leading you down a path of more, which is why refined sugars are so addictive. But here's a little trick that you can do. What if you have your refined sugar with some really good healthy fat? Then the fat would go up into the brain and turn off the hunger hormone if it was a good healthy fat, and it would slow your blood sugar down so you're not getting a drop in your blood sugar after you eat that sugar. So sometimes there's different ways we can dress up, like something like a refined sugar. Sometimes there's ways we can dress up some of these bad things and make them a little bit better. Not completely good, but a little bit better. Okay, number 2, thing I want you to avoid, worst food for your brain, are the refined flours. Now, same reason, when they think about this, I'm really a fan, if you're gonna do a grain, do an ancient grain. Because an ancient grain has enzymes in it, it's sprouted, it has if you do like a sourdough, it's fermented, it has some good probiotics in it. There's nutrients there. But when I walk into my grocery store and I look at some bread, and all of a sudden I just buy the bread that was my bread I've been eating since childhood, let's say, what we know is that if it's been highly refined, the actual process of making that refined flour took all the nutrients out. So it's nutrient dead. Think about that for a moment. Like literally your sandwich you're eating or the bread you're having in the morning that's like that traditional refined flour, it has no nutrients in it. It's not going to do anything for your brain. So could we switch over to the sprouted grains? Could we switch to the sourdough like I recommended? But the highly processed refined flours are not good for your brain. Okay, number 3 are the bad oils. So I already talked about good oils versus bad oils, but think about like an ankle sprain. When you sprain your ankle, you can't really walk on it very well and it swells up. Well, your brain is literally swelling every time you're eating bad oils. It's like, and how could you think right? The brain's job is to coordinate everything in the body. It's to give you great mental clarity, but you're not going to think right if you're eating these inflammatory oils. And unfortunately, every time you go out to eat, you're going to get exposed to these inflammatory oils, which causing your brain to swell and for you not to focus and to struggle. So that's not good. So we got to get the inflammatory oils out. And if you've followed me at all, hopefully you know that's like one of the number 1 ingredient changes that I really recommend we all change. Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free. And it's going to teach you all the basics of fasting. It's going to teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's going to show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you got to do is click on this link right here and enjoy. Okay, number 4. Now this one I love. And I don't love that it's in our food, but I love the simplicity of it. And I learned it from my friend Vani Hari, who is the food babe. And she is the one that has been going into some corporations and really getting them to change their ingredients. And so she taught a little trick, and it's on the Resetter podcast. You can go listen to my full interview with her about ingredients, that the number 1 thing you want to look for in an ingredient list that's the most harmful is the word natural flavor. So natural flavors is code for let me put a lot of toxins together in one ingredient label, and I don't have to disclose what those toxins are. So many of them are things like MSG, which can cause the brain to go into hyperstimulation. So we want to start to avoid things that say natural flavors in them. Now, a couple of other artificial ingredients I really encourage you to look out for are things that are like artificial dyes, like red dye number 3 and red dye number 4. Those are going to be toxic. They're neurotoxins for the brain, and you want to avoid them. So if you're not reading an ingredient list, make sure you're reading an ingredient list. Vani's book, I don't have it here, but it's amazing. It's a cookbook, and she has all the ingredients you need to know in the front half of the book. But yeah, and then, the other thing that Vani taught me that's really interesting is, and again, go listen to the whole episode, but she taught me that one of the things they put in natural flavors are dopamine stimulators so that you're addicted to the food. Okay, think about that for a moment. It's like you're eating your favorite potato chip and you're like, I need another bag, I need another bag. You just want to keep coming back for more. A lot of times they put a chemical in there that you become addicted to. So let's not make that happen. Okay, and then the last one that I would be remiss if I didn't say it, is alcohol. So alcohol is a neurotoxin. I know there's a big movement post-pandemic for everybody to get off alcohol. I really like Peter Attia's approach to this, which is decide how many drinks you're going to have a week. There is definitely for things like longevity, we're looking at one drink a day. So I'm not saying completely stay away from it, but I really encourage you to bring it down because it's a toxin to the brain and it affects blood flow to the brain. And when you're not getting a lot of blood flow to the brain, you're also, threatening brain cells. So just making sure that you're keeping it in moderation. The upside of alcohol is that it can relax you. And so it can bring cortisol down. And if it brings cortisol down, cortisol is damaging to the brain as well. So this is why I like a more moderate approach of let's just be aware. I love good wine, fermented. And red wine has some good antioxidants in it, like resveratrol, but in moderation. And I do agree with the research that's showing that women need to drink less than men because it does affect how our hormones are broken down. And I also agree that there's a time and a place. Just be aware of the effects long term on your brain. There you go. That's everything you need to know about what to avoid. And if there's anything in here that you had some good hacks for, put it in the comments so that we can all learn. But as always, I hope that helps. So if you love this video, you're going to want to check out this video. Foods that I used to eat, 7 of them. I used to eat them all the time. Some of them are going to shock you, and I don't eat them anymore. Now, let me tell you where you might find conventional fruit. So apples and bananas are kind of the biggies. Apple a day kept the doctor away. Not anymore.